Now let's just Saquon Barkley, which I think is an interesting conversation, Mike. We actually had you on the show when we were talking about Saquon within the past couple of weeks. You are the highest ranker on Saquon Barkley. You've got him at RB3. Just a news update for those that may have missed it. He's off the PUP list, which, what does that mean for week 1? Nothing necessarily. It just means that he is not going to start the season on PUP. And if you start the season on PUP, that means you're out for 6 weeks. So you can at least eliminate missing 6 weeks from Saquon Barkley's potential resume. But there's still no guarantee he's going to be 100% for week 1. It seems, and seems is probably a dangerous word sometimes in fantasy, that there's a belief that he could be eased into the season. He still won't commit to week 1. The team won't commit to week 1. That could be nothing more than coach speak and trying to preserve a competitive advantage, which we can agree whether that's worth it or not. You do projections. Like, you're not telling us like what you think. Like, you're telling us what the numbers, like what are your projections for Saquon Barkley this season? How many games are you forecasting he plays?
Well, first of all, I have no running backs projected above, what do we have, 17 games? Above 15 games now.
Really?
So there's inherent injury risk with that position.
Interesting.
So that's my starting line. I have him a game below that.
Okay.
Right. So, and that's normal for guys that have missed time or have some question marks. So, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I've been saying the same thing for months now, honestly. And I've totally understood what Stefani was saying, and it makes you a little bit nervous, and you worry a little bit about perhaps a slow start for him. But once he gets rolling, and the expectation from the Giants and us and everyone else is that at some point he's going to take over as their clear feature back, right? I mean, if that was not their feeling, they would have addressed the position. They would have got a Javonte Williams or something, right? If they had significant concerns. They brought in Devontae Booker, and they just recently signed Alfred Morris. So I expect that even if he starts slow, they work Booker in, Morrison a little bit for a few weeks. That's okay with me, because once he gets going, and by the way, week 1 last season, he played 88% of the snaps.
Right.
That is a
he was all over the
ridiculous
place.
number. I mean, for perspective, the healthy weeks Antonio Gibson played last year, he was at 47%.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
And think about how good he did in fantasy, right? So
yeah, sure.
If Barkley plays 65% for a couple weeks and then jumps back up to 75, 80%, you're going to be like, man, I'm so glad I took the discount and got him in the late first round. And that's where you can get him now. I just did a draft, an experts draft, started with Barkley, 10th, Jonathan Taylor coming around in round 2. I'll take the discount on these guys because they are league-winning players, and you're playing to win the league, right?
Yeah, you certainly are. But the other part of this, Mike, that I think people are going to push back on is not just the health, but he was not good last year before he got hurt. He was playing a lot, but the efficiency was way down.
Last year?
Last year. Yeah, last year.
It was one game.
Well, I thought he got hurt in week 3, right?
Wasn't it one?
I thought it was
or
week
maybe
3.
it was like the second snap of week 2 or something.
Okay, so second snap of week 2. Up at that point, he had 19 rushes for 34 yards. So he had a slow start, which again, I maybe it's too small of a sample size. So what? Yeah, so then you're basically correcting me before I can even finish answering the question that like sample size issue, not concerned about the lack of efficiency.
Yes, I mean you're going to see stuff like that for every running back at some point in the season. I'm sure you could pull that on Derrick Henry at some point where he
maybe not Henry.
All right, maybe it's a slight exaggeration, but anyway, something like that, right? Where he goes through a 20 carry stretch where it's low end production. I'm not worried about that at all. What I am worried about, or not worried about, what I'm excited about is rookie season, the number 1 fantasy running back.
Yeah.
Year 2, he played 12 full games, was RB4. Last season, 15 carries and 9 targets, playing almost 90% of the snaps in his only game. So, and he's 24 and one of the best athletes in the NFL, one of the best players in the NFL. So that's what I'm drafting. And I'll take on a little. It's worth the risk with a player like that. Let's put it that way.
Kyle notes he had 4 carries in week 2 last year before he got hurt on that catch against the Bears. And you're right, I mean, league winning upside. How many players are we talking about where it's not obvious? Like, it's obvious that Alvin Kamara has league-winning upside if you're drafting him 3rd overall, right? But it feels a little bit less obvious that Saquon Barkley still has that because recency bias does kick in.
I just can't take, like, Nick Chubb over him. I'm sorry. With the upside of Barkley, I can't do it.
No,
just
I
to
feel
be
you on that.
He might be a little healthier.
I do think, though, that rankings are being a little bit overlooked right now. I think he's going, and I could be wrong here, but I believe his ADP is lower than, like, where each of us has him ranked overall, right? Like, I think I have him 7th on my board. It might be 1. No, I think I have him 6th. I have him 6th right ahead of Kelsey. So, like, I'm still taking him, and, right at the top of the first half, or right in the first half, or in the back end of the second, or the front end of the second half of your first round. So maybe the ADP is reflected that people are more comfortable with a Devontae Adams or a Kelsey or a Tyreek Hill or a Stephon Diggs before him, which I think we all agree we prefer the running back in that scenario.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.